watched the Herzog film, I was thinking about a dead bird that I found on the third floor of my apartment, which is really sectioned off, and our landlord doesn't really want us going up there. But sometimes I go up there, and I had a dilemma because I couldn't tell him about the dead bird because that would be giving it away that I had been going upstairs. So I just thought, well, I'll just leave the dead bird, and it's hard sleeping sometimes though because I know that it's up there. So I was going to check on it. I know his raven had been eaten by these... I thought it would just kind of stay in its dead bird shape. But it looks like it molted. I wonder what did this. Maybe it was the wind blowing in or something. I don't know. But I had completely forgotten about it until I heard the Steiner story of his raven. Anyway, I was thinking about... I have always wanted to shoot a little... English at all. But, my God. Have you seen this? It seems like everywhere I go, there's death. Unbelievable. I mean, this mouse was like... It looks like it was actually like... Anyway, more death to come. We're looking outside the window. My dad says, "Why do you play with these kids?" And I said, "Because they're fun." And then he looked at me and he said, "Well, I don't want you playing with them anymore." And I asked, "Why?" And he said, you could see the guilt in his face and that he was teaching me prejudice. And he said, "You know what, never mind I said that." He said, you play with whoever you want." And just then, this beautiful 6-foot-tall girl, her name was K-A, and she walked outside of the house that was across the street, the Hmong house. She walks right outside, down her 5 or 6 steps. And there was something breathtaking about it. We all just stared at her. Neighbors started coming out. We were all staring at her. It looked like she was going to commit suicide or something. So she walks out, and she goes into this, she's got a long dress that goes all the way down to her ankles. And she goes into this really beautiful 5th position. And she just starts doing the splits with one leg forward and one leg back. And as she goes down, 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 perfect splits. Then she spreads her dress out around her in a perfect circle. And then she just pees. She just urinates, saturates the whole dress. And I ran outside. All the neighbors were just, and the women were like, "Oh my God." And, you know, an intercultural experience to be sure in Appleton, Wisconsin. And I feel like I never really understood it until now. At the time, I laughed. I thought this was the funniest thing I had ever seen. But now, I have a... Really, I was in a state of despair. And my TV had been broken for 5 days. So I started to read about despair instead of watching home videos of myself. And I came upon Soren Kierkegaard's Sickness Unto Death, which really is just because my neighbor recommended it to me. But I was struck by the parts of it that I was skimming. I didn't really read it. But, you know, and I had to look up the word despair, which was just the abandonment of hope.
And it really isn't just suffering, it just leads to suffering. But it's, he describes it as it's the sickness, it's not the cure. It's not really getting you anywhere. And that there are the three forms of it, including not being conscious of having a self, not willing to be oneself, but it's also the despair at willing to be oneself. And that was the real stage of despair that he talked about. It's like recognizing your own agency and what can you do? And so I thought, well, the first thing I'll do is I called my best friend who I hadn't spoken to in 5 years, and I apologized. Well, the most astonishing thing happened. She said, yeah, no problem. And then she said, yeah, I mean, she said, I suppose it's good that you look a dying, limping horse in the head and just shoot it. And she said, which she could never do. She said, but she's also just never been one to burn bridges. And I thought, wow, that's it. I mean, never been one to burn bridges. So she praised herself and me for doing different things, and she was saying that really that they're the same thing. And are they the same thing? I mean, what are bridges for? Well, I mean, they're for crossing, right? But you have to access something on the other side. If you can't, if there's a block, I mean, it's like I don't know, like reserved seats in a theater. You can sit there, you just can't sit there. Well, I want to sit there. I want to sit in the reserved seat, unless it's reserved for me. Then I don't want to be the asshole who sits down next to a guy who didn't have a reserved seat. I just don't think anyone's better than anyone else. And so I knew what I had to do. And already that night, change had been set forward, and change, as people say, right, is the only constant thing. And people talk about how they handle change. I like it, I don't, I'm adaptive, I'm not. The fact is, every time a change occurs, there's always a betrayal that takes place. And betrayal is what everyone finds repugnant. I mean, if you feel betrayed, I mean, you can't deal with it. But one way to look at it, I think, is if you think, well, in order for a change to occur, I had to be betrayed. And so I felt betrayed when my garbage was not picked up for a week. I don't know why they didn't pick it up, but I set it out like I do every week, and that's our relationship. Usually they take it, and then we go through the same little game every week, but this time they didn't take it. And then I dreamt that night, but then I wasn't sure if it was a dream because I woke up and my garbage was still not taken. And then this lady walks by, and she has 3 dogs, but the fat one is not on a leash. And then that's what I realized my agency here. I need to split from myself. I need to cut off the parts of me that keep me from moving forward and keep me in this stagnant place. And so I did. I split apart to become a more powerful part of one of myselves. And it just so happened to be the one who was willing to be himself and live within that despair to inform my suffering going forward. And it's a form of compassion, of course it is. I mean, you have to make a choice, even if it's backward or whatever. Just as a forest fire will burn itself to the ground once it's depleted all of its resources and it can't grow anymore. But I do think that ending suffering wherever you see it is always worth considering. None of this is an easy process, but miracles do happen. As it turns out, they weren't taking my garbage because I had a black lid on my recycle bin, and it had to be blue, and then they would take it. But you see, it's all the same thing. You betray your own garbage can, and a change takes place. One that moves you forward and your relationship forward. You put yourself out there and you wait and you wait and you just hope that someone takes you, and that the one that takes you with a gentle arm.
Mom?
Yeah?
I need you to pick me up.
Why? What's going on?
Look, I forgot my makeup at home and I need you to go get it and pick me up.
You what?
I forgot my makeup on my nightstand, okay?
Honey, I can't leave work right now. I have a meeting coming up.
But I can't leave unless I have my makeup.
I don't understand. Why didn't you bring your makeup with you?
I forgot it, okay?
Honey, I can't pick you up. I have a meeting coming up.
You need to pick me up. Just drive over. I'm not leaving this stall. I told you.
Yeah, sure, honey. I can't leave right now. I'm sorry you didn't bring your makeup. But wash it off if it doesn't look good, honey.
I will rot in this fucking stall. I will kill myself. Just please, can you come pick me up?
Honey, I'm sorry. I can't. I have a meeting. I have to go. I'll call you back, okay? Bye.
Mom,